Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be my January wrapped up finally. It's been a while, I know, but I think we're back this time for good. And this month I read, well, we will be talking about 6 books, but I only read 4 and I DNFed 2. The first one I started the year with was Bradva Night. It's the third book in the Bradva series by T.G. Maguire, and I love that series. The first one was Bradva Bride, and I was obsessed. Then Bradva Prince was book 2. Again, I was even more obsessed, and now with Bradva Night book 3, I'm even more and more obsessed. I cannot not stop thinking about that book, about those characters, about that world. It's a mafia romance, and we have I think the series is now complete because the 5th book came out last December, and I think it's Lucky's book, and he is the last of the main characters of the series. And this series, we have each book is about a specific or different couple, but the whole series has a bigger plot that's more about the mafia. So yes, you would have to read all of the books and in order to really understand what's going on. So with this one, it's Nikolai and Tatiana's story. I would recommend checking the trigger warning because there was a really sensitive subject out there, and it was really sad. I cried a lot with that part, and again, I would highly recommend to check the trigger warnings for this specific one. And as I said, it's about Nikolai and Tatiana. We met Tatiana in first book more, and because she was the best friend of Eliana, the FMC of Bradva Bride. And again, Nikolai he is the second eldest of the brothers, and he and Alexander, who is the eldest, he is the Bradva Prince. They were more best friends as well, so we've seen more of him in book 2. And Nikolai, he is the genius of the family. He's the quiet of the family. He is the smartest, and he is in charge with everything security, either cyber security or of the business of the family, of everybody. And we know that something was going on between him and Tatiana in the past, but apparently he did something wrong that they broke up, and well, she wasn't able to forgive him for what he did. So it's a second chance romance. But also we have the other part of the plot, which is more about the bigger plot, which again was one of my favorite parts of this book, which is okay. So to not spoil anything, one of the characters was kind of forced to participate in a real life Squid Game kind of thing. When I'm saying Squid Game, I'm meaning secret island, rich people betting on those gamers or fighters. We have games, and it's a last man standing, which means you have to, it's kill or be killed. Yeah, the fun that was in that part of the book was so much fun. The romance was so good. I love these two. I enjoyed both of these characters before even their books. Now that I read their own book, the romance was so good. I loved this one even more than the other books. So far this is my favorite, and I'm super excited to get to Bratva Butcher, which is book 4, and of course Bratva Menas, which is Lukian. My favorite character out of all of these main characters or not main characters is book 5, Lukian's book. And of course, to get to book 5, which is Bratva Menas, yes, I would be saying goodbye to the series, to this world, but again, it's my favorite character. It's Lukian's book. He literally is the craziest, most unhinged, and funniest one of them all. And also he has a stalker, a crazy, dangerous one. It's gonna be so much fun. I just know it. Super excited to get to that one specifically. And as for Bradva Night, as I said, I enjoyed it even more than the other two, and I gave it 4.5 out of 5. It's it's one of my favorite book series of all time. I can't say that right now. Again, super excited to finish it. Yeah. The second book I read this month or last month, it was not quite did yet, by Holly Jackson. Now, Holly Jackson is one of those authors that I was like, yeah, I'm over their books. I won't be reading any more by them because I started with A Good Girl's Guide to Murder, and I loved book one and book two. Both were 5 stars. And then I hated the last book of that series. Then Five Survive was not something that I enjoyed very much. And same thing with the last book as well. So I was like, maybe because it's YA mystery, like it's a little bit different than YA romance. YA romance usually is cute, even if it's sometimes cringy, but it's still cute. But with the mystery, it can get a little bit predictable and easier to like figure out what's going on even before the end of the book, which can be annoying for mystery. So I felt like I was outgrowing her books, and I was like, yeah, that's it. And then she comes out with an adult murder mystery, and everybody is loving this one. So I had to read it. I'm glad I did because I was obsessed. I loved so much this the story, the plot line, like the storyline, I mean, the characters, everything in this book was so much fun. Even the writing style was so easy. This is one of the books that you can binge and enjoy for like 1, 2, maybe 3 sittings and get done with it and be happy with it, right? This book follows Jet. She was brutally attacked on Halloween night. She survived the attack, but she was left with a head injury that was a little bit in a rare condition, and she was left with 2 options only. The first one is to do this dangerous surgery that would give her only less than 10% survival, or she wouldn't do the surgery, and that would mean she would die in 7 days. So to her, she has 2 options. It's either die now or die in a week, and of course she picked the latter option, and she decided to spend that last week of her life investigating her own murder and finding her own killer. And she does so with her childhood best friend Billy, who is madly in love with her. I loved everything about this book, even like the snippets of the romance that we had, even the like friendship that they had, the secrets that were revealed, everything except for 2 things, or rather like 2 characters that were really important to the plot line, but then we didn't really get like kind of like a closure with them because we didn't really know what actually happened, because we knew what happened to them, but then we find out that what happened to them or their disappearance or whatever is related to what actually happened to Jet. So now we're waiting for what actually happened to those characters, and we didn't get that by the end. So it felt like an itch in my brain that I couldn't scratch, and it irked me a little bit. And that's why this book didn't get 5 stars from me. I gave it 4.25, but still a very enjoyable book, very entertaining, and I would highly recommend. A book that I wouldn't recommend, to be completely honest, that would be The Hunting Party by Lucy Foley. I started this book as an audiobook, but then I noticed that there were like a lot of POVs in it, so I couldn't really keep up, and I decided to maybe read it physically or immersive read it. But then I found myself not caring for anyone in those characters. Like we have a group of people who I believe met each other in college, like they go make like those vacations every year, I think, and now they're having this vacation in this house in the mountains, I believe, I think in Scotland. And they get there, they find out there was a mistake in the booking, so now they had to stay with this other couple that also booked the house at the same date, and they have to spend this whole time together with the managers of the house because they're gonna be a snowstorm coming, so they will be stuck in the house and they cannot get out. And the managers like ask them to not go out, and if they do, to let them know, and if they do, to go in groups. But apparently someone did, and then they disappeared. That's why they made the hunting party for them. But then in the future or in the present, we find out that that person died, but we don't know who or by whom. So we have like 13, 12 suspect, and that was too much. And again, as I said, I couldn't care less for anybody, and that's why I'm like, I'm just wasting my time. I would definitely DNF this book, and that's what I did. But that left me in a very bad, nasty reading slump, so I couldn't really start any new book. I tried a lot, but I couldn't. And then I went through my bookshelf and I found one of my favorite books of all time, which is Twisted Lies by Anna Hong. This is my favorite book by this author. I've read almost all of her books, and this might be the only one that got 5 stars. It is my favorite one of them all. This is a fake dating romance. It's between Christian Harper and Stella. Stella is an influencer. She's trying to reach a million subscriber and a million followers on Instagram, and she needs a boyfriend to do so, and he needs a woman to go with him to those social events. He owns a security company, so he needs someone. A lot of his clients are married or either have like partners, so he needs someone to really help him to be like more approachable and to seal those deals with these men. So it was a deal between them to fake date him, to take her to those social events, for him to pose for her pictures on Instagram, of course, without showing his face. But it got really crazy after that. I did enjoy a lot of parts because she has a stalker, by the way. And yeah, I think that's all I can say. I read this book for the first time in, like, I think 3 years ago, and I did forget a lot of things about the plot. So that it did feel like reading it for the first time again, which was so much fun. Because reading a book that I know I'm going to love, a book that I'm loving already, and also because I know like the main plot, I had the chance to pay attention to a lot of clues that were thrown, that flew over my head when I read it for the first time. It was a very different, enjoyable experience. I loved that. It was a 5 stars, and it will remain a 5 star. Twisted Lies, one of my favorites again. Then after that, for some weird reason, I had a kick for a dark romance, or specifically something dark, intense, and unhinged, chaotic. So I did my research and I found this series. It's a duet. It's called The Pen Pal Duet by Gigi Steaks. The first book is I Will Break You, and the second is I Will Mend You. And we follow our main character. Her name is Amethyst. She's very, very unreliable because she was on meds, but she had to stop them, and now she's having those hallucinations. So a lot of the things that she's saying, we don't really know if they're true or not, or even if they do are like if they do happen. Sometimes she just dramatized them because of her brain uh playing games on her. And we know Amethyst, she is an influencer kind of thing. Like, she has a fan club of this serial killer that she's dating. His name is Zero. He's on death row in prison. They never met in person, and she would like write him letters, and he would respond to her, and she would read those letters to the fans, and that's how she made her living. And they were supposed, her, Amethyst and Zero, were supposed to get married 3 hours before his execution, but for some reason she didn't make it, and he was executed after that. And because she felt guilty, she started to feel that his ghost was hunting her, and the ghost was pissed. Like, not just pissed, like he was angry, he was torturing her. I would recommend highly to check the trigger warnings of these books. Like, I think they're like 2 pages worth of trigger warnings, and a lot of them are terms I've never heard or seen before. A lot of them end in philia, and I know that's not good. So I would recommend to check the trigger warnings for this specific series. But yeah, there were a lot of torture in the beginning of this book. But then again, we learn more about Zero's character, about how he was taken by his own father to this academy. It was like, it's a child assassin organization. Like, they take little kids and they teach them to become assassins. And he was one of those kids, and now he's out for revenge. That's all I can say now. I'm not spoiling anything, but oh my god, I never in my life would think that I would love a dark romance. I don't read dark romance. I don't really enjoy it that much, but for something as dark as this, and because I was in the mood for it and it gave me what exactly I was looking for, I loved the series. I love this duet so freaking much. It's everything you would look for. Like, we have a found family there. Like, we have, like, even the romance that started really dark in the beginning, it ended up to be like really sweet, because like as we go along, we learn more about them. They learn more about themselves and about each other. And because Amethyst doesn't really remember a lot of things that happened in her childhood, and kind of like find a lot of things, a lot of secrets were revealed, and I loved how the structure and even like the books, how different they were. Because in book one, it was more like a thriller, more like a mystery that we're trying to find out what really was going on. And then in book two, like we know what's going on, and then we have this big chaotic problem that's getting worse and bigger, and they were just waiting to like find a solution, to find how it's gonna all wrap up at the end. And I love the ending. Oh my god, the ending, that would be the most satisfying ending ever. I had so much fun with this one. As a duet, I would rate it 5 stars, but if I'm going to rate each book, I would give book one 4.5, just because of that part, that sad, gross, torturing part at the beginning. But then for book two, I'll give it 5 stars. Overall, again, it's a great series, and now I'm obsessed with this author and I want to read all of their books. I already have their newest release, which is called The Keyhole, and the cover is really, really similar to The Housemaid's cover by Fred McFadden, which is one of my favorite books of all time, and I'm super excited. It's also about a nanny who works for this dangerous, really scary widower in some like small town or something. I don't know. I'm super excited. And then there's another one. I forgot the title of that book, but I believe it's about this guy who saved this girl who was held hostage somewhere, the basement, I believe. But then to find out that she was the danger, she is a serial killer, and someone like took her like and put her there to protect humanity from her. It sounds so intriguing. It sounds so much fun. I'm so excited to read these too. And if you have any recommendations that are similar to this type of novels, I would highly, highly recommend to put them in the comments down below. And then we get to the last book and the last DNF of the video, and that would be Lights Out by Navessa Allen. This one I started back when it first came out, and I'm talking about the audiobook. And because if you go to any video on TikTok or anywhere asking for a good audiobook recommendations, this one would be out there. This one would be at the top. And I agree with that. It's a really, really good audiobook, and I love the narration. It's duet narration as well, and which is very fun. Just a side note for the duet, the pen pal duet, also they have the audiobooks, and I got them, and oh my god, those might be the best audiobook ever, audiobooks I've ever heard, like listened to before. It's a dual narration, but it's not just that, but it's more like they're not just reading the books for you, they're more like acting the books. Like if there's screaming, they scream. If there's whispering, they would whisper. If there's crying or sobbing or giggling or laughing, you hear all of those sounds while they're acting their roles. And it's not just, as I said, reading the books for you, which was so much fun. And if you immersive read it, it really, really gets the experience to another high level. Now back to Lights Out. As I said, I DNF'd it before because I wasn't really into dark romance, as I said before, and I didn't really understand the whole point of it. I didn't really enjoy it, so I DNF'd it. And now that I'm like, as I said, I was in a dark romance kick, so I was like, maybe I should give it a chance, because I found out that it was a dark rom-com. And that part I was so happy for, because I started listening to it again, and yes, it was so funny. I love Josh. Josh's character is hilarious. Ellie also like had a very like a lot of funny moments, and I enjoyed that. But unfortunately, it didn't go anywhere after that. It was so boring in a lot of places, so I just couldn't continue, and I decided to just DNF at this time for good. Just if you don't know what Lights Out is about, it's about Josh. He is the son of a serial killer. I believe he witnessed when his father was arrested. So that really kind of like messed up with his mind a little bit, but he is in therapy. He's trying to not really respond to that part, that half part of him that's from his father. He's trying so bad to not be like his father, but that part sometimes just snaps out, right? So Josh, he makes masked thirst drops videos, I think they're called, on social media, I believe. I don't know if it's OF or any just social media. And Allie, she's a nurse and she is obsessed with this creator. She is obsessed with his account, and she would leave comments and likes and all of that for him. And he noticed, so he hacked into her account, and he finds out that, oh, like, he knows this girl. She used to date his roommate. And I think that's all I can see or I can say about the story. Like, I didn't feel like there was much to it, to be honest. Maybe I DNF too soon, but yeah, I just couldn't really vibe with it, I guess. Anyway, that was my second DNF of the year, and this was my January wrap up on all of the books that I read last month. That was it for this video. Tell me how many books you read last month, and don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.